here's the next episode of Draw With Me. I was hoping to originally upload another video, but it didn't really work out the way I wanted it to. So I kind of want to recut it so that's a bit better. So instead, we'll be doing a bit of sketching. But today, just drawing some characters. I thought it'd be nice to draw this like little girl holding a book. I've actually been listening to this song by Sue Lee. I don't know if you guys know it, but it's like called I'm Just Gonna Dance, or I'll Just Dance. I should really know because I've been playing it on repeat all weekend because it is my new jam. And actually when I was drawing this, I had her YouTube playlist up, so you'll actually see that all the next illustrations are kind of inspired by Sue Lee, just because she is amazing and her videos are hilarious and she has an amazing voice. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to do these Draw With Me videos. If you want to hear about just random things or maybe some actual useful things like techniques and tutorials, probably we'll do that next. But I guess today's Draw With Me is just kind of more daily thoughts on what's been going on. I spent the entire weekend inside because it was raining outside. Then I realized I hadn't left the apartment for several days, which has kind of become the new norm with working from home and social distancing. I really like, honestly, I kind of like it, just because I like being at home with my cat and kind of being lazy. But I do really miss going out into nature. I really miss traveling. I miss seeing my friends. I guess there are ups and downs from this whole social distancing situation and everything that's been going on. I would really love to go back to California to see my friends. I really miss them. I was really looking forward to seeing them in October or November, because there are some things about, besides just like seeing my friends, there are a lot of things in the US that I do miss, especially October in the US. October in Sweden isn't really as exciting. They don't really do Halloween the way that Americans do, and I'm starting to realize that the way that Americans celebrate holidays is just an American thing. It's interesting when you live overseas because you then begin to realize how extreme Americans actually are. I'm saying this also living from Sweden, and Swedes are stereotypically kind of known for being a bit more mellow. So I guess the contrast is even more stark. Oh, this past weekend, I did watch Eurovision on Netflix, and if you're from Europe, you know exactly what Eurovision is. If you're from the US, you probably had never heard of it, like me. But just from my understanding, this is what Eurovision is in a nutshell. It's this competition between all the European countries, as well as like some others who aren't actually a part of Europe, like Australia. They're also in this. But basically what happens is that every country chooses one singer to represent them in this competition. And then it's like a showdown between all of the artists to see who is the best of that year. Yeah, and this happens every single year. And Europeans are super, super into it. Like, all of them watch this. It is this thing that happens across Europe. And the performances are absolutely bonkers. They are super, super over the top performances. and it is entertaining beyond belief. And the way the voting works is that all of the countries actually text in votes, and I don't think you're allowed to vote for your own country. But anyway, I remember the first time seeing this, and it was just it's just really, really awkward and spectacular that this singing competition is so big. And I just recently found out that ABBA, the very, very famous Swedish group, apparently debuted from Eurovision, or winning Eurovision. So, I don't know, the more you know, like, there's just so much there's so much in the world that you just don't know about, and I just felt like such a closed off American watching this, because even to this day, it is kind of still mind-boggling for me to even process what Eurovision is. But yeah, I would say that if you do have time, check out Eurovision on Netflix. And when you watch it, and you watch those crazy performances in this Hollywood film, just know that the performances are actually that crazy. And I would say that even though Swedes might not be as big on holidays, things like Eurovision and the World Cup are so big here. I remember watching the World Cup in Sweden about 2 years ago, and watching the World Cup here is so much more exciting because Europeans are so much more excited about it. Unlike Americans, football is not such a big thing. And I would say that also culturally, the term football in itself is just kind of fun, because for me, growing up in the US, football is a completely different sport with kind of a weird shaped ball that you don't kick, and where guys tackle each other. But what we know as soccer is known as football here. But back to the point, the World Cup in Europe is so much more fun because, especially like having a really international group of friends, everybody is rooting for different teams. So we had like Croatia and Sweden and the UK, like we were all in the same room rooting for countries in which the people were from, and it just made the odds so much more thrilling and exciting than when you watch it in the US. Europe definitely has different dynamics in that way. Definitely way more worldly, so many more different cultures, so many more different languages, and just so many more different kinds of people from all over. It's really interesting also just because I remember when I first moved here, I met somebody who didn't look typically Swedish. They didn't have blonde hair, blue eyes, and I remember asking them like where they were from, and they said, "I'm Swedish." And it was really fascinating in that moment for me, at least, because if you didn't know, I'm Asian American, and in the US, we all specify what kind of American we are. People typically don't say like, I'm American. You're either African American, you're Asian American, you're Native American. You're never just American in the US. And I remember my boyfriend actually pointing out that it was such a strange term for him, because I've never heard a Swedish person say that I am Asian Swedish, African Swedish. No, here they're just Swedish. They're Swedes, and they don't differentiate themselves. And it was a moment that I still remember to this day, because up until then I had never thought of the possibility that I could just be plain American. Have you lived abroad? Have you ever had these cultural epiphanies, these cultural shocks? I would love to hear what you think. What have you experienced? What have you been through? Was it exciting? Was it embarrassing? Leave a comment down below and let me know. And with that, I just want to say thanks for watching, and I hope you liked this episode.